Hello everybody and welcome back to Chris Bosch Props. My name is Chris, and if you guys have noticed in the past couple videos that I've been doing, I've been working on my very own 3D model of a Ghostbusters Proton Pack shell. Now this just isn't any 3D model. This has been a labor of love and a passion project of mine to bring an accurate Proton Pack shell to the digital space. And I kind of feel like I accomplished it, guys. So I wanted to share this with you and just show the things that I've done on this shell that makes it unique and different than anything that's available on the market right now. If you guys are looking to 3D print a very accurate Proton Pack shell, I highly recommend you check this out with me, guys. So let's get into the video. Alrighty guys, so here is my 3D modeled Proton Pack shell, fully printed, and as you can see the seam line here, I printed it in 2 pieces. And the reason I did that is because I don't have a 3D printer big enough to print this whole entire shell. Now Elegoo has just released the Orange Giga or something like that, and that is a ginormous printer, and it would have no issue printing this whole entire shell as one piece. That might be an option in the future, but as of right now, I'm fine with a 2-piece. I have both an Elegoo Neptune 3 Max and a Creality CR10 Max that allows me to print this whole shell in just 2 pieces. I know some of you might have smaller beds, so if you decide to purchase my shell, you might have to cut it up into more pieces, but it does print, and it does print very well. This top piece here was printed on the CR10 Max, and it did an incredible job picking up the detail. Now we do have a lot of those layer lines, which is unfortunately very normal for FDM printing, but it's nothing that can't be filler primered and smoothed out. But I just wanted to show you guys some of the details that I was able to capture. This rounded edge here, this rounded edge here. I'm not sure if that's coming up very well, but there's a lot of little nuances, guys. I'm not going to share every little thing. If you guys own a Max Legacy Proton Pack shell, you could be able to tell pretty quickly. We have the crooked gun box here. I'm going to try to get up so you could see it. So there's the crooked gun box. I was very, very proud of that because as far as I know, I don't think that's been picked up on a 3D model yet. This is a lot more organic, and when I mean organic is a lot of the soft edges that you see on the screen used Proton Pack shell, I was able to replicate and bring into the 3D space. It's not as parametric, and what I mean by parametric is it's not as square. It does have wonk to it. But yeah, I mean, all you would have to do is you would just sand this edge and just super glue this thing. Fill it in, sculpt it, sand it, and you wouldn't even be able to tell it's there, especially after texturing. So that's another thing I wanted to talk about, guys. I am able to texture this Proton Pack shell in my sculpting software very accurately to what's seen on the screen used shell. Unfortunately, guys, with FDM printing, it would be very hard to pick up on the top layers. And that's the problem with the cyclotron, is you kind of want to print it as you see here, and top layers don't pick up texture. Now side layers do just fine. You would be able to see the texture on the side layers, but on these top layers, FDM printing unfortunately doesn't pick it up very well, and you're still going to have print lines. So once you clean this all up and smooth it out, you're going to lose a lot of that texture anyway. So it's really best to just texture it yourself after you smooth it all out. Krylon makes a truck bed texture that is incredible and extremely close to the screen use packs. I would say that's the closest I've seen experimenting, and I've experimented quite a bit with textures, as you guys know, and the Krylon truck bed texture is by far the best. So you do have the crooked ribs there. A lot of these side plates here on the sink gen are crooked and reflect what you see on the screen use packs. There's the top of the pack. We have the crooked ribs here. I did some of the nail marks. And you know what's sad, guys, is I've been so obsessed with this shell, modeling it. After this 3D printed, I already have another version that I've updated since, because I catch certain things as it's printing and I go back in my modeling software and touch it up. Just some more wonk. I added some more wonk here to this vac tube hose attachment here. I added a lot more wonk in that, and just a bunch of other little things as I'm learning the 3D modeling software as well, that I can do a lot of crazy things to make it even more wonky. The shell printed extremely well, very little supports, most of it is bridging. A lot of this just comes right out. They're just little tree supports, just a little bit to help with the bridging. I'm sure you could probably print most of it without the supports, but once you print, you get a little bit of loose layer lines. I guess they call it like a sacrificial layer or something, but you can go in with a heat gun and just heat all these down and it's just fine. Keep in mind the inside of, so all that will just come right out. The inside of the real Proton pack shells were fiberglass and they weren't pretty looking, so it's no big deal. Structurally, it's still very sound. Here's the inside of the cyclotron. That's pretty much the supports that were used. There were some supports around the cyclotron rings, and like you said, you have a little bit of a sacrificial layer there, but again, nothing that a heat gun wouldn't take out, and you can cut some of it out, no big deal. It's still extremely structurally sound and strong. So that is my shell for the most part, guys. You can see the details for yourself and just see that it's an extremely accurate and awesome shell. Eventually, I do want to build this. I've also made parts to go with it that I sell in my Etsy store. So I have all the tubing that goes with it with accurate looking TIG welds. And I'll show you that, guys, next and just see how it looks on the shell. So here are my pack parts. These are all 3D modeled and I sell the files in my Etsy store alongside my Proton pack shell. And these all fit this shell. And what's neat about them is we have accurate looking, if I could pick up the detail there. So there are the welds that are on all of my pieces. You can see they are accurate looking TIG welds. Here's the infilter, and I even did the uneven spacing on the holes. And there you go. I've seen some of you guys build 3D printed Proton pack shells and put welds on some of your pieces with like hot glue and stick putty. And some of them look really terrible, guys. And I'm sorry, if you want some real looking welds, please just buy my parts. Save yourself the hassle, and they'll look amazing on your Proton pack and make it look very accurate. So here's the infilter. It could screw on, rivet on, or whatever you do. These are all printed in resin. The injector tubes here, they just attach like so. The holes are already there. Now I did multiple holes. I don't know if you guys can see, but I did multiple holes, and that's just the offset. So if you want like a more Venkman style, it'll sit closer. If you want like the Sony Lobby Hero, it sits a little bit more down. So that's why you see multiple hole positions on some of the parts. As you can see there, there's more of a Venkman and then a Sony Lobby Hero. This V-hook here. Now I match these holes with the MK4 V-hook, but these can be easily patched if you're using an aluminum one. Yeah, some of the holes I did match for the MK4 Taco Belly pack, just because I know people want to use some of the free parts. But most of these holes I took directly from the Legacy shell and measured them out perfectly. I also left off the holes for the bumper just because there's so many bumper options. You have the MK4 bumper, you also have the Max Factory Legacy bumper, and there's a Heavy Props bumper, so I didn't want to put holes there unless they match something specifically, and my bumper that I'm doing in modeling just isn't quite where I want it yet, so I'm not worried about it. You guys can drill your own holes and add whatever bumper that you desire. Now, of course, there was no hole in the cyclotron for Ghostbusters 1. This is a Ghostbusters 1 shell, so I did not add the hole in the cyclotron, but that can easily be added on your own. I did multiple holes there as well for Venkman or the superhero. I left the clipboard holes like so because there's 3D models of the clipboard, and if you want to use a real one, you could just drill that hole out. I know some guys model where this vac tube here goes inside of this, but I tried to be more accurate to the original movie, which I believe used a wooden dowel or a dowel of some sort that this just kind of attaches to. I think they glued it and they used a little wire string to tie it to. So that was my option. You can cut it out, drill it through, no problem. Here's my ion arm. Here, let me show you the welds. Now these have been since updated. They have a lot of the holes drilled out for your resistors and stuff, but just wanted to show you guys those welds. I'm so proud of them. They look amazing. So yeah, that'll go right there. I made sure to get the accurate gap here, which is something that's a lot harder to replicate than you think because of the wonk of the original shell. The HGA here, it goes perfect. It attaches perfectly. Now I can't show you because I'm not actually attaching it, but like I said, there's 2 holes for Venkman or Sony Lobby Hero. And then we got our vac tube there, which fits perfectly. And yeah, guys, there we go. Now this bumper I printed out, this is the Taco Belly MK4 bumper. I also have a Max Legacy bumper, but I just was curious how his bumper fit, and he did an incredible job. I didn't know how accurate he was able to get his bumper when I was doing mine. I was like, why are you even doing yours? Look how good his is. But I'm still gonna finish mine eventually. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much how it sits. It's amazing that this day and age we can 3D print an accurate proton pack. It just blows my mind. So I will link my shell and my pack parts below if you guys are interested in purchasing. This is kind of a dream come true for me, guys, and I just had so much fun modeling this. I literally was obsessed. I was obsessed, guys, and I shut everything out to try to get this as accurate as possible. It actually does fit pretty decently within the outline of the Screen Use Hero shell. There is some wonk that's a little harder to capture in 3D modeling software than if I were to do it by hand, but it is amazingly close. If you were to have a Screen Use motherboard, this would fit pretty well on it. You might have to file some of the edges, but overall it would fit. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked the video. Yeah, we're on to the next one, guys. Really appreciate you.